Path of Night is an actual play Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the world of darkness. We're all friends, we're here to have fun, but our story can include graphic violence, drug use, sexual content, and other mature themes. Content warnings can be found in the show notes. We talk at our table about safety, comfort, and consent, both as players and storytellers. We know what to expect, we're all excited to be here, and we want you to feel the same. So listener discretion is advised. Now, let's walk the path of night.
Last time on Path of Night, Britta and Neil faced their fears on the first rung of the ladder of heaven. Britta's spirit guide Romeo led her to the next part, while the Vikos met Neil at the end of his first confrontation. All the while, Johnny and Wynn defended the coterie against a gang of shovelheads, the first wave of the invading Sabbat's forces. Miles, you're led by the hand as Marcos brings you into the next stage of your journey. You get a sense of elevation. The air grows thin, and it actually does, in its own bizarre way, feel as though you're traveling upward through this hall, staircase, what have you. It's very surreal and unclear. You can see the stars grow near. And then you begin to hear music. And sometimes this music is some very smooth jazz. Sometimes it's vibrant, thrumming synth. Sometimes it's good old rock and roll.
I'm intrigued as we move forward, trying to align myself with this general feeling of just moving upwards and not trying to dread the part that's supposed to be really hard.
When you enter, you find yourself walking into a grand hall that is made from silver and gold and glass and diamonds, all of it gathered and arranged in this gorgeous Art Deco design. It feels like the height of New York grandeur. And across this hall, sprinkled about, are people dancing, eating hors d'oeuvres, and enjoying one another's company, is the various party environments intermingled with one another all at once. Just like the music seems to shift and sway depending on your surface thoughts, so too does the crowd. But then you hear some familiar faces, and Marcos, still holding your hand, kind of pulls you into a circle of people that are chatting. The first to speak seems to note the very nice suit you find yourself in, the white, the silk, the very extravagant venture look you have taken on.
Appreciably.
And it is the voice of Rufio. And he says, well, shit. I thought only pansies wore neckties.
This is not within the realms of expectations. In any degree or form. I just kind of squint my eyes at him and try to move on.
Well, Marcos, who's wearing jeans, a white t-shirt, and sneakers, says, "See that? I thought only assholes used the word pansy." Elsa speaks up. "Ooh, he got you on that one, Rufio." Rufio clenches his fist. "Shut up. Son of a bitch is going to pay for that." And he starts to stare down Marcos.
I wait to see his next move, but I'm not entirely sure what's happening here, and I am trying to suss out what is, as usual, what is happening. This dreamscape is very weird.
Rufio grabs Marcos by the shirt, clenched fist, other hand balled up and ready to punch him.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to let that happen, so I'm going to attack Rufio. Do I have anything on me to do such things?
Well, what are you trying to do?
Yeah, I was seeing if I have a sword or not.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, well, of course.
What suit's complete without a katana?
It's an excellent point, Dreamscape. Then, yeah, now I feel like I'm getting it. But yeah, just take the offending arm. Why not? This is fun times. Do you need me to roll anything for that?
You slice the arm. Okay. It falls to the ground. The rest of him crumbles away in ash.
Oh, it's a weird place to keep your heart.
And Elsa looks at you, this, a moment ago, absolutely stunning, dressed oddly in a way that you hadn't quite ever seen her dressed before. She was wearing these fishnets and clad in a ton of black, looking incredible. But she gives this grim smile, and much of her body wastes away immediately. And you're reminded that she's gone.
I see.
Elsa says to you, "Wow, I wish you were there. You probably would have made the difference."
I would like to think so sometimes, though it seemed like a lot was going on there.
That's putting it pretty lightly.
Well, if I was throwing a party, I definitely wouldn't make it a trap. So,
What would you make it?
a party? Something more fun and less death.
Well, don't be vague, Miles. What would you make it?
I don't know. It's been a while. We're going for fun on this? Let's have some fun on this, right? We can do that here. Sure, let's embrace some of the roots and, make it a big old arena stadium type concert with us, with the important people in the back who can both see the concert and but are separate from it.
One of the walls to this hall becomes a window, overlooking an arena below where there is a stage and much louder crowds that exist beyond the window. And this hall becomes this box seating, and the vast majority of people that are here fade away, become distant voices in the arena. And now, before you know it, it's just you, Marcos, and Elsa. Marcos steps away, helps himself to some whiskey.
I too grab something to drink and to eat, realizing that's something I can do. And I don't know, get comfortable, sit in a big giant chair and just kind of soak it in.
What do you eat?
Probably pizza. It's been forever since it's tasted good, and I do remember New York in the 80s when it was suspicious but delightful. A few other things, bites of steak, things that I had not had in a while, a few different alcohols that I used to enjoy, just sampling everything. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here, but it's enjoyable. And I'm going to take this moment for my peace, and we'll figure out where to go from there.
Elsa sits next to you. I see you are adapting very well.
It's been tough. And I haven't had a lot of opportunity to stop.
Well, we have all the time in the world. Catch me up. What's bothering you, Miles?
Oh, a domain under siege. A friend being bonded in multiple different ways. And I am part of that problem, but hopefully part of the solution. And I think a lot of people we know are going to die very soon.
She nods. They are.
All because no one can stop. Everybody needs to have everything for themselves. I'm not saying that I'm not part of that problem, but I don't feel like I would have had to do some of these things too if other people could have just stopped.
Is there anything you would change?
It's so hard to see where it would go. Be so much better if Marcos was still here.
Would it?
I think so. He could have been, even as a vampire, I feel like he would have had a choice.
How far would you go?
I mean, how far would I go?
How far would you go to change that?
Pretty far. Not enough to endanger what I've managed to hold on to. And I very much would not want to endanger those who didn't have a choice. I try not to bring our war, or whatever people call it, to those who are just trying to live.
There is a book. And this book has the power to bring someone back.
I think I've heard of it.
Heard of it? Well, she reaches beside her seat and reveals a book. And she sets the book down on your lap. Well, there it is.
I don't know if I can use this.
Of course you can.
I'll open the book.
Look what you did here already.
Of course.
Marcos actually heads over, pulls up a seat, and now it's you and two dead people. On your lap rests this tome, this big, heavy, dusty old book, and it has this ozone scent and this electrified power that radiates from it. You know with absolute certainty that Elsa's telling you the truth.
I look over to Marcos. I don't know if you're here or not, but what do you want? A question I possibly have asked you before, but never quite given you the information to make that choice correctly.
I think I made that clear on a few occasions. I wanted to become your child, to be embraced, to have what you gave to Britta.
She was never there to replace you.
My feelings on the subject weren't totally based on rational understandings. I know that. I know she meant no one harm, but she was my enemy nonetheless. She had a frustratingly charmed existence, and I didn't.
So what will it cost me to use this book? I say out loud to no one in particular.
Marco says technically nothing. Elsa says it is your reward for passing the past challenges. You can, if you will, change either of our fates. should you so choose.
Always a choice. How about you, Elsa? I didn't ask you before. What do you want?
If you're asking me if I'd prefer to exist than be food for worms, I think I'd rather exist.
We ran into problems when I didn't ask.
That we did.
I assume there's no way to save you both.
There never is. Marco speaks up. It's actually very sad, really. You can't save everyone. And when you try, you spread yourself too thin and things go wrong, don't they?
You end up losing something. And then you don't get a choice.
Elsa leans over. So what are you going to lose?
I don't know. It's a tough choice. No offense, Marcos.
None taken. Britta. Romeo leads you through the door and into a mansion. And on its walls are gorgeous paintings. Everything is so detailed and perfectly organized, perfectly laid out as though to be one of those British estates of old. There are trophies of war. There is a path made clear to you towards a den. And as you walk, the stars grow near, the air grows thin, and you arrive to a den. And in the den, there is a fireplace that burns with this soft blue gossamer fire. And again, the room beautifully decorated, not in a very modern, posh sort of way, but this old, regal, and comforting design. And seated by the fire is Roman. But there is something different about him. And you find yourself wondering at first, but you realize the moment he sees you, what's so different? Because when he sees you, he takes a deep breath, and the deathly pallor of his low humanity and the icy facade he maintains to conceal his deepest thoughts are gone. And in this moment, he is simply a man.
Coming up through the hallway, through that ascension, Britta had been clinging tightly to Romeo. Partly because of the horrors of the previous stage. Partly because she realized she could. Romeo before was something she could not touch or interact with, and although there's a part of her that's still wincing from the feeling of his spine draped over her shoulder like a shawl, there is also this strangeness in being able to be there with him. A strangeness that gets further complicated as she starts to realize the familiarity of this place, and she gets self-conscious. She doesn't let go of him, but there's questions written across her face before she arrives to the den. And arriving there, her eyes grow even wider, seeing Roman Pendragon's chest rise and fall, and the humanity in him, and she looks down at herself, wondering if she matches.
Do you match?
It's certainly what Britta hopes for. She wants to see what it would look like.
Then, for the first time in your memory, you glance towards a mirror in the room and see what you look like alive.
There's usually that convincing blush of health that Britta seems innately to have, exceptional to other kindred, but now it's real. The little details, the ones that her coterie had taught her to imitate. The way that smoking covers up the lack of breath, that fiddling covers up the unnatural stillness. She sees herself moving like people do, the way that people shift weight or are uncomfortable in small degrees. And there's a gasp of soft amazement, and she looks up, delighted.
As you draw near, there are two things that you notice. One is that above the fireplace, there is a painting of a woman dressed in this like gorgeous Victorian fashion, and you recognize her face and realize that it is none other than Dark Selena, and her gaze looming over Roman. And in his hands, he is flipping through old folded parchments. And while he manages a smile to you, kind of comforted that you've arrived, he himself seems to be struggling with something.
Britta's eyes land on that painting and then back to the papers, and she draws closer. So, small things, she's reveling in them, like what it feels like to need breath, or the little tap of her fingers against her other hand, what it would feel like to have blood coursing through it. But shyly, she says, "What's wrong?"
He cracks you a half smile and says to Britta, "It's unfair, isn't it, that one must go this far for a moment of quiet? But please, come sit. I found these old letters, missives from my sire when she was first forming my way of thinking. I hadn't realized just how much my methods were not my own but an expression of hers. How much I have allowed her to define me."
Britta goes over and takes a seat by him. She holds out a hand, requesting one of the letters.
He hesitates, not out of real fear, but shame, and then gives you the stack. He just hands them off to you. My obsession with war, my disdain for humanity. I swear to you, but I wasn't always this way.
It's hard to imagine that anyone could be born like that. But I mean, if there is this moment of peace, as strange as it is, and as much as I don't understand this place, maybe this is a time that we could really understand things. She picks up the first letter that's on the stack.
When you look, it is a report Roman had written to her regarding conquests and youth, and it becomes clear that this neonate is desperately trying to prove himself as callous as his sire. And in the story, it is a brutal one. and he revels in violence and horrific murder. And it's kind of sad because you're a Toreador. You've seen your share of people who pose and how posers will try to create a certain look, create a certain atmosphere, give off energy that they don't really have. They fake it. And what you're looking at is a young man who is trying to make it in a world he doesn't understand. And so he tries to impress his sire by being just like her. And as you look through the letters, you begin to sense this undertone of resentment, of hatred. He clearly is becoming aware of just how monstrous she is, but he has spent so much time trying to emulate her strengths that he has begun to embody the worst aspects of her.
It's harder human to not wince. And Britta, with the first horror, she tries to keep a level reaction. She tells herself that it's not like she didn't know that something like this would be there, and then the details keep piling up. And that tightens her body positioning. She tries to keep reading levelly, but she finds that there's tears threatening at the corners of her eyes, and she automatically goes to wipe them away because she doesn't want to get blood on the paper, but they're tears. And that confuses her for a moment before she tries to focus her attention on these letters and how small the atrocities are presented in comparison to this quarrel. She finds herself sneaking peeks at that painting and not really managing to look at Roman as long as she would mean to. She tries to keep it together.
It's no excuse. I allowed myself to become this. It's why I admire you so much. Because you seem frustratingly insistent on not making the mistake I did. And you make me think about who I could have been. And the door opens, and Roman Pendragon enters. This time, he is every bit as cold and calculating as you remember him to be. And with his icy blue eyes, he looks down at himself with disgust.
Britta looks between the two. The second one feels more familiar, but she finds her body language almost shifting to put herself between. Like, she's seated, and the human Roman is seated. And she turns to look at this colder, older one. She says, "You feel this too, right?"
Feel what exactly?
The regret.
I don't have the time for regret. Let's consider for a moment. When Roman Pendragon was embraced, he was a pawn in another's game. His sire, cruel as she might be, taught him to survive in a world like this. A world of violence and despair.
There are other ways to survive. And adding more violence and despair,
Sometimes things are complicated, but you don't have to look at him like that.
Of course I do. And frankly, you are also a killer, aren't you?
Yep.
I wasn't attracted to you out of the idea of pretending to be human. Pretending that I am not what I am. I enjoyed your company because you have something to add, something to contribute to my own life and to my plans. Humans are lesser. They live finite lives.
Our lives are finite too.
No, not like theirs.
We could die at any time.
They don't know what world they even live in. We are not the same.
I don't really know what world this is either.
Yes, you do. Don't lie to yourself. Don't pretend that you haven't had your own calculating thoughts, that there haven't been people who have wronged you and deserved to die for it. You can't climb the ladder of heaven and pretend to be mortal. That's not how it works. That's not how you get what you want.
I know Neil said that we have to get through it.
Yes, you do. But part of that is parsing away the illusion and seeing the world for what it is. And in the real world, that Roman Pendragon is dead. There might be echoes here and there, moments where when he sees you and you look at him just, and he wonders what could have been. But that's gone. Concepts like love and infatuation have given way to arithmetic and death.
Maybe that's what you want to think. I don't want to think that. But Britta isn't sure how to refute it, and the words die on her tongue, and she curls it more into the chair.
Roman, the one that is seated next to you, takes your hand. He pulls you close, and you're so close to him that you can feel his heartbeat against your ear. And the sensation is more real than anything you have felt during the entirety of your own life, all year. You are given a choice. Roman, the one that is standing, looming over you, raises his hands. I'm headed to New York. I'm going to wage a war. What Roman would you have in the field? The one who cares for you, who would have a future with you if only the world would allow it? Or the one who survives?
I don't understand.
Of course you do. You live the same duality. You have the aspects of you that are kind and seek comforts and softness. And then there is another part of you. With regards to myself, there cannot be both.
Why not?
Because I am a being of extremes.
Yes, there's things that I'm fighting against in myself, but I don't know that makes them things that I can completely get rid of, or I don't know if I could make choices that I'll always be a killer now. There's no getting away from that, and...
Do you really think that reducing my ferocity to a half measure will make a difference? I'm consigned to death either way. Let go of the Roman Pendragon you think I am.
What if I don't think that you're... And she looks to the one whose heartbeat she hears. She looks at him, she tries to gather up the words. I guess I hope that you're in there somewhere, and I don't know if it's possible that you'll exist again. Redemption is a lot to hope for, but isn't it the point?
Britta, this mortal Roman Pendragon says, you have to listen to me. There is nothing in this room, in this moment, more powerful than you.
What do you mean?
You're not in a place where you have to reason and justify. Here, the world is what you want it to be. The Roman who is standing over the two of you, his eyes narrow, but he doesn't say anything.
Britta is confused, but she tries to focus the remnants of her will to test out what it is that he's expressing. And she lays a hand on his chest, near the beating of his heart, and she wishes that he's strong enough for the battle that's coming, the human one.
What are you hoping to see?
She doesn't really know. There's fantastical images, things that, like she's trying to piece together what he might need. Armor comes to mind, like he's worn in the past. Armor that glimmers strangely, like it would have more protection than simple metal. She imagines speed and strength, and she imagines that the portrait of Selena might fall down.
The portrait crashes.
She startles, not having quite expected it.
The Roman who's like holding you, he takes the parchments and casts them into the fire. A bold gesture, but then Romeo speaks up. Yes, Britta, you've earned your place here, and you came here to make yourself as strong as you need to be for the battle that's coming. You can manifest either one of these Roman Pendragons, and he would be shaped by your choices here. It may affect his odds of survival, it may not. But you're here for you.
Britta looks up, conflict and a strange guilt flickering over her expression. She's not sure how to orient herself, like she isn't even sure that she's supposed to be sitting with Roman the way that she is while Romeo's there, and the questions in her brain are a mile a minute. She finds herself searching Romeo's expression, trying to figure out what he even thinks of all this, what his determination about all this is, and she tries to catch herself, realizing that she's going on to the next person, what their thoughts are, what they want. She freezes. She takes a moment wanting to stand up, but that lower of a heartbeat, and she can feel hers too. The idea of standing up sucks. She doesn't really want to. She tries to push it through in her mind, and she's just, not moving. And she gives a little jolt, trying to get up and look at Romeo and focus those thoughts. And she says, And then why is this happening?
Britta, this place offers incredible power. The power to make changes to yourself, the world around you, to enact miracles. But it is temptation.
Don't the miracles come at a price?
Yes, that price is your journey towards what you came here to do.
Romeo, I don't know how to be myself. Every single time that I'm trying to make my way through this, everyone else feels like a mirror. And I'm building up who I am, but I don't know. I don't know if I've built up enough to be a person.
Don't worry. Roman interjects, holding you tight. We'd have each other.
Pulled back close. Britta squeezes her eyes shut.
You've suffered so much. Both of us have. Why shouldn't we have this? Why don't we deserve a chance? Just put it all aside. All of the pain, the abuse, our sins, their sins. Why can't we just be human?
And we could make everything right. We wouldn't have to be hurting anyone anymore.
The Roman who is standing rolls his eyes. I can't believe this. Well, the last thing we want is you being unable to make a choice. So, unlike the gentlemen who have been speaking to you, I'm going to actually help you on your journey. And he walks over to Roman and he yanks him off the seat that he's sharing with you.
No.
And he drags him towards the fire. Here's the thing, Britta. Every time you take something for yourself, it may and will come at the cost of someone else. And you need to accept that and do it anyways, because that is how kindred grows strong. And that's what you deserve, to be strong. So let's put an end to this charade.
I am strong. That's what you like, isn't it? That I'm useful.
He holds the other Roman by the throat. And the mortal grows blue in the face, and he looks over his shoulder at you, and he says, yes, I adore how strong you are, but I also see who you could be, and I look forward to seeing her.
Britta goes.
This is a distraction.
Britta goes to intervene. She runs over and tries to throw the two apart from each other.
With immense power, you split them. The mortal is shoved back to the couch. The immortal, pressed against the wall for a moment. It cracks, furniture breaks. He seems thrilled by the gesture.
Britta, tears running down her face, is just so confused. The pride in his expression or just the enjoyment is... She immediately doubts what she's done, but she takes a few steps back towards Romeo. This isn't... Maybe it is my fight. I don't know if it's my fight because I see myself in it or...
But they've been fighting like this since before you were born. It's not your fault. It's not your responsibility.
Can you take me out?
No. I can't.
You got me out of the first one.
You did.
Britta looks for the door.
It's right beside him.
She runs.
Britta, wait. The mortal Roman says as the immortal approaches him. I can't beat him without you. Kneel. You leave with the Vikos and arrive to this place amidst clouds. Above you are very near stars. And below, two scenes play out before you. In one of them, you see Miles surrounded by comforts. He is lounging, listening to music, and is flanked by two of his favorite people, the corpse of Elsa Linden and the corpse of Marcos.
How about you, Elsa? I didn't ask you before. What do you want?
If you're asking me if I'd prefer to exist than be food for worms, I think I'd rather exist. Sitting on his lap is this big, heavy, dusty tome. Very much stands out in terms of the surroundings that Miles has created for himself. But you see a truth. You get to see something that he cannot see. And what he doesn't see is what is hidden inside the Trojan horse. And inside this tome, its truth is that it is Z. And he is bartering with Zophiel. In the other scene, there is a bit of high drama. And in this very classical setting, before a fire, is a struggle of two men over Britta, and a third who seems to be wanting to encourage her to choose herself, but the others find every excuse, every opportunity to drag Britta into their complications, their messes, their failures.
You don't have to look at him like that.
Of course I do. And frankly, you are also a killer, aren't you?
Yep.
I wasn't attracted to you out of the idea of pretending to be human. Pretending that I am not what I am. And because of Britta's selflessness and her desire to make the world around her just a little bit better, she keeps caving in and becomes drawn deeper and deeper into this web. You know that they are both dangerously close to failing their ascensions. And if they fail, especially both of them, all of this was for naught. And then you catch a whiff of what you know to be Khalif. And at your side, wearing a hood that obscures most of his visage, you recognize your sire. It was hubris to bring them here, you know that.
I do. I could barely make it on my own. I don't know why I thought I could bring others. I've never heard of anyone bringing others. This is scrambling in the dark.
Worse, I am afraid. It is a mastery of astrology and survival instincts that allow for the Ashipu to climb the ladder of heaven. Many spend years practicing, training, readying themselves for the challenges that your friends face now. And should they fail, they shall not return to Earth. He offers you what looks like just this very, thick, crazy-ass blunt for you to fucking smoke from.
Because this vision is taking the form of his sire, Neil automatically and reflexively reaches out and takes it.
You've been here before. You know that this place tempts you. It is meant to give you everything that you want. And yet, you're among the clouds in a mostly empty space.
Yeah. Ever since I realized I was stepping foot on the first rung of the ladder, I can't help but compare it to the last time. Last time, the fears, the doubts that I had to face was just a scary boogeyman. It was just Reese. jumping out of nowhere and going, I gotcha. My fears have gotten so much more complex since then. He looks around for a second to see if it's just his sire here, if the Vikos is still here, or if it's truly just the two of them in this empty space.
Sort of standing back in a ways is the Vikos, existing as a sort of spirit guide for yourself. Your sire speaks up. You came here not seeking anything.
I don't know if that's exactly true. I wasn't seeking anything for myself, but isn't there a measure of pleasure, a measure of joy and satisfaction to be found in utility when you're seeking something for someone else?
Yes. I suppose that is the ruse of where you are now, isn't it? I don't need to explain to you what is about to happen. You already know that the temptation you face is the opportunity to save your friends.
Yeah.
But what you haven't considered is the reward. Should you do as an Ashipu is meant to do, and let go of your earthly concerns, and seek the power of heaven for yourself. But I thought of it. I know exactly what you need. Because that's when you get to the heart of it, the purpose of this, to find what you need to succeed in the long run. For after the siege has begun, after the plans fall apart, after the chips are down and there are no moves left. So, we will do this in reverse. I will simply tell you your reward. And I will discuss with you the temptation. When the week of nightmares began, when Ravana rose, within that moment, there was a sort of wave of psychic power. What was unleashed across the world was mostly destructive, but within this reality-warping consciousness of the ancient was also the power to exert one's will over reality in ways that most Ashipu cannot even dream of. I think you felt some of that. You used some of it even to save your friends.
That's how I reached out to them.
Yes.
I remember.
Well.
Vaguely. Sort of.
Some of that power remains within you, Neil. Latent.
I had wondered. Potential untapped. Potential energy not yet converted.
Precisely. Now, here is the challenge you face. You have the ability now to move forward, attain the power that you would need to impact a quickly coming future that awaits the people you love, Wynn and Johnny. But you are tempted with that which you love. And so, you have an opportunity to save Miles and Britta. You can leave them to their fate and hope that they choose wisely. But I don't mean to brag. The temptation has Miles, and he doesn't have quite a reputation of making the right decisions, does he?
No. No, he doesn't. I can see. Neil looks down at the Miles scene as it's playing out.
And every time you try to get him to listen, he doesn't listen to you.
No.
So, this is not even going to be the opportunity to warn him, because he wouldn't heed that. It isn't very much of a temptation when you know he's just going to go forward with whatever he wants on the whim anyways.
Yeah.
So, instead, you can pluck him from the place and time he is in now and bring him to you, so that when you pass forward to collect what you have earned through hard work and patience and a superior intellect, if we're being honest, you won't lose him in the process. And then, Britta, who, at every opportunity, has chosen to play house with Roman Pendragon, regardless of the dangers, the abuse, the manipulations, the evil that is Roman Pendragon. You can pluck her from her inevitable failure. Bring the both of them with you. Achieve your ends. The price, of course, the consequence, is that they will likely resent you for doing that. I think they like where they are.
Neil's quiet for a long time, looking down from the heavens, as he often does. But this time looking and watching the two scenes play out beneath him. And without looking at him or turning to look at him, he just quietly says to his sire, "You know, sometimes I don't think I give you enough credit. I know a lot of people would tell me you don't deserve any because you left. I was on my own and I was figuring all this out on my own, but you gave me that core, that basis, that foundation to get to where I am. And I should thank you for that in some ways. As horrible as it was. Sometimes, when you look at a student, you have to let them go. The whole point of this, the whole point of their ascent is that they are confronting those things within them to figure out where they go. And if they fail, God, I hope they don't fail. I see them failing, but by my intervention, they're not going to learn anything either. If I step down and pluck them out of their faults right now, they won't confront them and they won't grow and they won't learn. So I think I need to take a page out of your book here and just leave them alone to struggle and hurt and fail because they're not going to learn anything. And God, you did that to me, but I learned so much when you did it.
But Neil, they're yours. Are you going to risk losing what's yours?
Are they? I know in this place they could be. I could take them and put them in a box. You're right, I am good at this kind of thing. I think in this space, if I wanted to, I could collect up their psyches, keep them from mine forever, keep them safe, put them in a box they could never leave. But are they really mine? I'm yours. God, I hate you for it sometimes. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't. I want the things that are mine to want to be mine. And I don't want to make them do it. Because I spend every day wondering whether or not the things that are mine even want to be.
Well, I have some bad news for you. You're very good at this. And I applaud you for that. But Miles is why Johnny and Wynn will need your intervention. So what if instead? What if you could change something about Miles? Protect your coterie from them. And do the right thing. And I'll tell you how. Miles thinks himself invincible. And there came a moment, a specific moment in time, where this became truly the case, a point of no return. And that was when he took the heart's blood of Upton Rollins.
I'm working on that.
Wow.
I'm thinking about it. I could make it go away.
You could do it now.
I could. Easily.
Miles is stricken with a newfound sense of humility. Johnny and Wynn are safe. And I think on some level you think Britta may make it through.
I hope so.
So what do you say? Let's fix Miles.
See, that's... You know what's annoying about these tests every time? Especially now, the world, my mind are so complex. It's so running so hot. The annoying part is no matter how much you know what the right answer is, it doesn't stop the hurt. It doesn't make it any less easy. It never gets easier, does it?
Not until you've made it all the way.
Yeah. I hate this.
You love this.
Last time it was boogeymen and a pretty girl. This time it's... Well, this time I know it's Gehenna, so...
It is. He takes the blunt and he goes
Neil
back
just
to smoking.
passes it unconsciously. I'm not going to intervene. I'm not. Not just because I'm already overthinking the fact that this is just part of a test, but because, weirdly, if Miles is a threat because of Rollins, and clearly, and he, actually turns and looks at Sire and gestures at him, you're here, so clearly, in some level, I think so. Threats can be immediate. And I can't fix this problem long term yet. But if he steps out of line, I can damn sure punish him for it. But I don't need to do that now. That's an anytime I'm there thing. And before you say it, I know I'm not always there and I won't always see. A demon bothers me more than anything else, though. And he looks back down at the Miles scene.
And he doesn't have a great track record of resisting him, does he?
No. From the very beginning, he and I were somewhat at odds about our considerations of the demon. I know he was tricked. I know it's not his fault in that chantry, but God, it frustrates me.
That moment was not his fault, per se. But it did reveal how pliable he was to it. And it took advantage of that.
That's when the dominoes started to fall in my mind.
And Miles enjoyed it. He enjoyed the attention.
I'm not going to intervene, but saying all this out loud does help. And that's part of it, isn't it?
It is.
If they fail, I'm going to have to do some hard things, aren't I?
Yes. Yes, you will.
But the whole point of this test, I mean, look at us, and he sort of gestures at his feet. I'm literally standing above them in my own thoughts.
You are. But you often do.
Yeah. Big perspectives. I'm not someone who's ever been good at having faith. Ironically. But I guess I have to, don't I? Well, when I'm asking you, you're going to tell me I don't. I am going to have faith that they'll do the right thing, and if they don't, they fail, because that's the ultimate part of this test right now, for me, is whether I can let go. Whether I can see the danger coming and let them walk into it anyways, because it's their choice to walk that way. God, I hate it. I hate it. But it's what I'm doing. I hope they join me at the summit.
Well, I have some unfortunate news in that regard.
Yeah.
But you may advance and claim your prize just as I said you could.
I'm not doing it for the prize. I brought them as far as I could bring them. Sometimes you just need to push them out of the nest and hope they can fly. Neil turns away from his sire and looks back over at the Vikos.
When you finally turn away from him, cementing your decision, the Vikos is waiting for you, and there is another door that opens.
Neil doesn't give one look back at the other scenes because he's worried that if he does, the door would close. And he steps through.
So, I need to confirm. You do not look away from the door.
No. He does not look away from the door.
Okay. The door, therefore, does not close on you. And you climb the ladder of heaven.
Looking down at the book he's holding, looking around at the place that he's at, and then looking at the two currently dead people looking back at him, he pats the book with both hands and speaks out loud to them. One, this is like personally me. There's no one else here observing any of this. Great. Everything that happened with Marcos was kind of my mistake in one way or another, and so no one needs to hear that. I think trying to pull you back into all of this is the same problem that I did in the first place, which is I pulled you into this without ever giving you the ability to protect yourself or power to at least stand at the same levels. And then looking over at Elsa, I saw you as a solution to a lot of my ongoing problems. A lot of problems that I was having with the court, a lot of the things that I needed to smooth over. And just well, allowing me to do the things that I felt I needed to do without necessarily shouldering all of the responsibility that was required. I don't think it's right to bring either of you back. And it's very sad in many ways. But I think that whatever comes from all of this, I need to try to utilize to best keep the people close to me safe and to try to bring about some sort of better place for everyone, not just for myself. Every time I try to do things for myself, it goes mildly sideways.
The two of them look between each other when you say mildly sideways.
I don't need this judgment from my own conscience.
But otherwise, they kind of just watch and listen as if judging your answer.
And I will stand up from my extremely comfortable chair and place the book down where I was sitting, and I will go to the buffet and down another glass of whiskey and have a jumbo shrimp.
When you down the glass of whiskey and reach for the shrimp, the food spoils and blackens, and everything in the room very quickly decomposes into this flimsy, rotting corpse of a space. And the book opens, and pages begin to rapidly turn and turn and turn until somewhere towards the middle, it stops. And then crawling from the pages is this thing with twisted, decomposing wings, a face that is made from sick blackness and stars, with a single bright red star where its left eye should be. And it says to you, "Miles, since when did you play the role of saint?"
I'm not. A lot of things have come to a head, and I said I would learn some lessons from them, and I am doing my absolute best to do so.
You are. I believe that. Do you know why I admire you so? Do you know why it is that you and I work so well together?
I imagine it's your mildly mutable nature.
A long time ago, there was a plan for all things. A god. And she stood above all and made the world pure and safe and sacred. But she's gone now. And there's no one left to take her place. No one left to keep the people safe. No shepherd to guide the flock. But I see in you. I see in you a great desire to be that guide, that protector, to be looked upon as the solution for every problem, for everything that is out of place. I urge you, my friend, opportunity to slip between your fingers. And so, there is one final offer. You may not save these two. Perhaps they do not represent enough in your vision for the future. But there are those you love, those who look to you, those who need you to be strong and to make the difficult choices that they themselves cannot. And you will lose one. One of them is going to die, Miles. And I offer you the gift of resurrection and the opportunity to be God when no one will, and save your friend.
At what cost?
Have you ever worried about the cost before?
No, but that's part of the reason why we're here.
It will cost you nothing. Nothing but the knowledge of where the gift came from and who helped you when no one would.
Is part of this deal fixing what was wounded by the dragon?
The scar you suffered, inconsequential to your power. I would not fix it. I would not repair this. But you may. It would be trivial to you. Easily done. In the blink of an eye.
Explain to me the resurrection.
It is simple. You need but rest your hand, press your palm to the ashes of your loved one, and invoke my name. I will see to the rest.
What about the taint?
Inconsequential, easily concealed by yourself should you so choose.
What about the person resurrected?
Nothing about them changes. It would be as though they simply did not perish. I would bend and break the laws of death.
And all of this costs nothing.
Nothing.
To me.
Yes.
But what about to others?
What of them?
What is the full cost?
The price you would pay. Is that you would say yes? That you shouldered another burden. That you would be made to carry your friends yet again. They might not appreciate the gifts, the success that you have brought them. But I think you already know this price.
Zophiel.
Miles.
Let's do this.
You have an accord, and the pact is sealed. This now rotted and ruined casino space begins to finally collapse under its own weight. And Miles, the last thing you feel is a surge of power.
There's a large part of Britta that just wants to keep on running. She takes in what she's looking at, the two versions of Pendragon, the expression on Romeo, the strange tangibility of his face. This feels, almost in a strange way, as scary as the fear tested. She can't put her finger on it, why this is so stirring. Is that one that was visceral, that was gross, and it made her feel trapped in an entirely different way, but this one makes her feel like she can't. What if she fucks up? What if she does the wrong thing? She has to do the right thing. Because she's the one who makes up what version of herself is real, because there's nothing else there. It's just her having to make the right choice so that she, when she makes herself out of nothing, out of no memory, out of no basis, that it'll be worth something. If she doesn't make the right choice, then it's not worth anything. And she takes in the scene. That instinct to run keeps nagging at her, and she wonders why, like, as she finally has some strength here. But is that pretend or is that real? And finally, out of everything, she spits out the words. I came here to fix myself. Why are you asking me to help you fix you? I can't. Even if I could, what would that mean? I didn't get entangled with you because I only saw what this version of you, this version that breathes or regrets. I felt something for both versions of you, and you're not even separate people. That's just like something that I want to pretend I believe, not something that I don't know why you're asking me to do this, and I came here for fixing my own heart. I came here to get myself straight, and if you want to make a change, then that's about you. I want to help you, I do, but because that's what this is about, right? What we want. Maybe there's a part of me that wants to pretend to be the girl who fixes you, but that's not what I saw in you. I saw all of you, and I like that you saw all of me, and it's not my responsibility to make you who you choose to be. That's your choice. I'm here to make mine.
What do you do?
Britta gives in to the temptation to run. Because that's what she wants. In certain ways, it's not really everything that she wants, but she shakes her head towards the Pendragon that
is pleading with her. She shakes her head towards both of them, maybe even towards the idea of that room and the separation between the two of them.
With an infuriated expression, Roman Pendragon bends down to grapple the other Pendragon, and one at a time, with loud squelching noises, he plucks the limb from his lesser self. As you step out of the room, you can hear the obsessive shouts and screams of these much older vampires than yourself. Romeo shuts the door, and you are not out into the hallway as you would have expected. Instead, you are in a room with a fluorescent light illuminating the space, and the walls on either side of the door that you pass through to enter this space are windows. They actually look very much like the other side of mirrored glass. And from within this room, you can see Shrike sitting on a table of this, what looks to be like an observation room for an interrogation room, watching as one of the Roman Pendragon eviscerates the other.
Don't want to keep on hearing people be torn apart.
That's life.
No.
And lights a cigarette and offers you one. Look.
Britta is freaking out. She's looking for the next place to run.
There does not seem to be another door.
She ignores Shrike for the moment, tapping at the glass, trying to figure it out.
There's a roll of the eye. Romeo gives kind of a sad shake of the head. Once you go forward, there's no going back. It doesn't work that way.
I don't want to go back. I want to keep getting out. I don't want to listen to people being torn apart anymore and it being my fault if I don't change it.
What kind of nonsense is that? Shrike says. Just because people do bad things to each other and to themselves doesn't mean that it's your fault for not intervening and fixing it. If that is the case, you'd have a pretty guilty conscience at this point.
I do have a guilty conscience.
Yeah, let it go. You are trained to distract. You are trained to complicate people's lives. People make mistakes when that happens. They open up. They let information out that they should otherwise hold on to. You know how all of this works. Look at him. He's literally tearing himself apart because of you. Great. You dismantled an elder. You should be proud of that.
Why should I be proud of that?
Well, he's not a good guy. And if you can bring him down a peg, that makes you something of a hero, doesn't it? And isn't that what you want, the acceptance of your friends? To be seen as this contributor to their efforts, to make the world a little bit of a better place? Trust me, the less Pendragon there is, the better the world is off.
I think I want myself to be some perfect, kind person, and I can't. It's never good enough.
Look, the only mistake you've made is wanting to be a good person. It does you no good, and that's not what people need of you.
Why are you here?
Well, these sorts of things come with pretty big offers. So, I can see that the life you lead and the way you lead it has brought about a lot of suffering. And I don't personally have any problems with that, but this one time I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. And one of my specialties is indoctrination. But I can also undo it.
Britta tenses at the word indoctrination, her body settling into a fight mode. A tension running through her that only slightly dissipates when he says he could undo it.
No offense, but we already kind of got you as a kid and did that, so you don't need to worry about further indoctrination. You're as deep as it gets. But what is on the table is being freed of it.
I already negotiated with Perrin for fighting the dragon. We got the Shard of the Eldritch and the Chantry, and
you earned your freedom. Question is, even though circumstances kept that out of your hands, do you still find yourself wanting it?
Wanting what?
To be free of what had been done to your mind. To be you, however you define that.
Do you even know? Are you what they made you?
I'm what they made me, but what they made me as someone that can free you of what they made you.
What would that even mean?
Who knows? There's never been, what do you call yourself, Britta? There's never been an adult Britta who wasn't a pawn of the Talmahera, the hand without sun.
There has been.
Not yet.
Yes, there has. I don't even remember most of you.
So how are you going to argue with me on this? I'm the guy that actually knows the whole story.
Well, what is the whole story?
Well, that's what's on the table. If you want it. I mean, technically speaking, it would be a failure. You wouldn't accomplish the thing that you had set out to get. But all you really wanted was a shortcut to something you could have rebuilt for yourself over time anyways. What time and effort couldn't get you is this.
I thought the effects of the dragon, the psychic assault, I thought that was permanent without this.
Sure, but anyone can just rebuild the things they've lost. It happens all the time.
I haven't been able to. I've felt like...
You haven't wanted to. You've been busy with other things.
No, I've wanted to. I've wanted to be more of myself again.
You don't even know what that means.
That hurts. Britta is cut by that last bit.
His smile kind of widens just a little. That's kind of the problem with someone who doesn't know who they are and thinks they can empathize with everyone around them. You just become a reflection of what they want to see. That's how it's meant to work. Why do you think Roman sees redemption in you? Why he sees an opportunity to have human interaction? It's because it's what he wants, and you're meant to flash those bright eyes and placate to it.
What do you want for this trade?
That little wince you gave, a little drop of suffering, I'm paid in full. I'm just here to have fun. But you can have a good time while putting in the work. And my job is to present you with the choice. You can move on, continue as Britta the sidekick or whatever the hell it is you do for these guys. Or you can be whoever the hell you want to be, whoever you were meant to be.
I'm not a sidekick.
Yeah, okay. No, you're not, and we're all really proud of you. We know how decisive and effective you are.
You don't know anything about me.
I know a lot about you. I made you, remember? We just covered this.
Your
nature as a Canaanite comes from me. Your skills and aptitudes come from, me again. And your entire existence as a chatterling for the Talmahera. Well, I mean, I'm the one that nabbed you in the first place, me and my buds. So if you really think about it, the blocks that come together and build you, I assembled.
Is that what you want to see?
It's really important to you that you know what I want, right? It's very Britta.
I do find myself using people as mirrors, trying to figure myself out in them.
And it doesn't work, does it?
Sometimes it feels like it would work if I knew more about me.
Yep. And despite your efforts, it's not going to work because there's something missing. And I have it. He kind of gestures with a hand, and though you hadn't noticed it before, there is a door on the other side of the room. Come with me.
What's past the door?
I'm not here to do this for you. He opens the door and walks into the next room.
Britta automatically shakes her head, digging her heels in. She's not ready to follow Shrike. She wants to badly. There's an instinct to crane her neck to peek where he goes. But she directs her gaze towards where he was sitting.
As you stare at that table, you start to hear the sounds of a piano. Just this sweet melody of keys.
She checks the room, wondering if Romeo was still there.
Romeo is still there, and he reaches towards you as if hoping to stop something, but fails to in time. And in a blink, you're in the next room. Having lost time and awareness, something about the notes on the piano played with something ingrained into the depths of your mind.
No, I don't want to hear it. She covers her ears, sitting down on the ground, and bawling up.
Oh my God, no. There's no crying in Ascensions.
You don't get to make fun of me for crying. You're in my head.
And yet, here I am. You know why? I'm the guy that controls your head. I'm the guy that made your mind. I'm the architect of Britta.
No, you're not.
Do I need to demonstrate again?
Get out!
He kind of pauses, and there are wisps of ash that seem to flow freely from the tips of his fingers. And over the course of a handful of moments, he is just ash blown away.
Go away! I don't want you here.
No, you did it. You feel Romeo's hand against your back, and everything fades away.
Path of Night is a Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the world of darkness. Britta Ashcroft the Toreador was played by Rebecca Steigelfest. Johnny Saxon the Bruja was played by Garrett Gabbey. Miles Davenport the Venture was played by Tim Davis. Neil Foster the Malkavian was played by Rob Muirhead. Wynn Cabot the Gangrel was played by Erika Webb. Your storyteller was Lex Lopez. Recording by Rebecca Steigelfest. This episode edited by Rob Muirhead. The music used in this episode was composed for Path of Night by Brian Metolious. Find him online at brianmetolious.com. Path of Night uses the 20th anniversary edition of Vampire the Masquerade with a few limited house rules. Vampire the Masquerade and the World of Darkness are owned by Paradox Interactive. Make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. We can be found on YouTube at youtube.com/@pathofnight. You can help support the show on coffee.com/pathofnight. Find us on twitter.com/pathofnightpod, on facebook.com/pathofnightpodcasts, or email us at pathofnightpodcasts@gmail.com. See you next time, kindred.
Actually, I need you guys to go upstairs.
Okay.
Fun fact. I literally thought this is what you were going to do.
So,
Yeah, I'm just sorry, guys. Players are gonna have to leave.
I need to do some things.
I'm actually doing this so that they can hear me. It's not that I don't think you understand. I'm doing it so that the audience knows that I'm doing this.
Sure.
But I need players to exit. I'm actually going to do this scene with just Rob. Thank you guys for understanding, but I don't want to spoil some extra details that might be floating around about the scenes that you guys are in.
How dare you? Tim, what's helpful to you right now? Do you want to keep going?
Oh no, I just need I needed a moment. Because Lex is over here like, all of your buttons.
That is what these scenes
Miles, this world is sick. There's no God.
You could be
You
God.
gonna step up?
Come on, not guys. Wrong. What are the pros of accepting the deal?
I think besides resurrection, I think it comes with more than that. But that's the first part.
I feel like I'm not allowed to contribute to the discussion, so I want to hear what you guys...
Struggling.
I'm struggling really hard, and I know I'm not allowed to say anything, so I'm going to let you guys...
Do you not have spirit guides? Are you not allowed to do anything with these motherfuckers? To be like...
My spirit guide just
that was
left.
his trial.
My trial
Rob cannot talk on this.
Yeah, my trial was the ability to, in and out of game, weigh in on these options.
So why do you need to pass your trial?
I already did.
Yeah, but you don't...
Gary's like, fuck you. Help them.
What I'm saying is, like, they need to get they need to get up there. Do you need to get up there?
Doesn't all need to be pros.
Literally mirroring what Lex said in
what are
my
the cons
temptation
of
scene right now. I already made this decision,
Yeah.
so I can't...
I don't know what it's actually going to cost me.
Nothing. He told you.
I don't believe the demon at this point.
I mean,
Come on.
I think at minimum...
When has he ever lied to you?
What has he not forgotten to tell me parts of it?
At minimum, you're accepting infernalism.
Since one of you needed to know everything
I need to know
make a
now.
choice.
At minimum, you're accepting
Wow, I'm not
infernalism
just
because
fucking
he
trying
said
to
that.
plot
He
me,
said you would have accepted it from me, and you would have knowledge of who you accepted it from,
First
which is
choice
you
was an
have
opportunity
signed
to
into
use the
infernalism.
See, Tim's doing more math because he knows that instead of just 4 measly willpower, he can go into Omega Gangsta mode and be straight up Virgil, which has been a dream for his PC
But
since
Lex, you don't hear
one.
what I'm saying. I'm talking about negotiation. Is you're offering me something tempting.
Give me
In the
more.
pot. I came here to be fixed.
A classic
If
character.
you can't fix me, then if you can't fix 4 measly willpower, and you're
Are
offering me
you
godhood,
leaving because
I'm
you
lying.
need to?
Tim, if they can't give you 4 measly willpower, he's lying about godhood.
I need
Fine. If you can't give me 5 measly willpower, fuck it, 6. How much? What were you at?
I'm at 4.
Make me willpower 10. If you can't make me willpower 10, then you're lying about resurrection and godhood.
Tim?
Yep.
No one in the room when you make your choice.
Yes! I love that caveat!
Makes sense.
I love it!
All right, so do you want us to go upstairs and you guys do that?
You guys
Or
can
do
take
you
a
just
break.
got
I'll wait.
here,
I'm already
man.
good.
All right.